For these questions, we're going to convert the measures. But all of these measures are units of volume. And volume is just a way to measure how much space something takes up. Usually when we're measuring volume, we're measuring liquids or solids that take the shape of their container. So we need to learn the units of measurement when we're measuring volume. One of the smaller ones is called a cup. Well, if you put 2 cups together, it makes a pint. And a pint's a little bit bigger than a cup. Well, if you take 2 pints together, it would equal a quart. And if you wanted to measure even larger amounts, you could put 2 quarts together to make a half a gallon. And if you put 2 half gallons together, you would get a whole gallon. And we're all pretty familiar with a gallon. That's how much milk usually comes in. And we're all pretty familiar with a cup because that's the size of your basic school lunch milk. But the ones in the middle are the ones that you really need to focus on learning. There is one a little bit smaller than a cup though. It's called an ounce. An ounce is about as much as you would take with a big gulp, or about as much medicine as you would take with your dose. So an ounce is smaller than a cup. In fact, it would take 8 ounces to make 1 cup. So you can see that other than the ounces to the cups, all the other conversions are times 2. And that's because between every other unit, it's getting 2 times bigger. So you can use that information to help you when you start converting. So when we convert units of volume, it's going to be the same as when we did units of length, feet and yards and inches. So you're still going to do horse to fly multiply or fly to horse divide of course. But you have to know what to multiply or divide by. And that's where this can be a little bit more tricky because there's so many more units than there are in the units of length. So let's look and see how we would do that. And it all goes back to thinking how many are in 1. For number 1, we see that we are converting quarts to cups. So if this is a quart and this is a cup, we're going smaller. So we're doing horse to fly and we're going to multiply. But what do we multiply by? You have to think about how many are in 1. How many cups are in 1 quart? Well, if there's 2 cups in a pint and 2 pints in a quart, basically what you're doing is multiplying it together. So you start with 2 and you multiply by the other 2 and you get 4. So your conversion rate is going to be 4. So to find how many cups, you would have to do 49 times 4. And you would get 196. So there are 196 cups in 49 quarts. So let's do another one. On number 3, we have pints to quarts. So now I'm going from a pint to a quart. So I'm going smaller to larger. So fly to horse, divide of course. So I'm going to divide. But by what? I have to figure out how many are in 1. How many pints are in 1 quart? Well, I can see this is an easy one because there are just 2. So I'm going to divide by 2. And then I just do the math. 140 divided by 2. So my answer is going to be 70 quarts. So let's do another one. On number 5, we have quarts to ounces. So we're starting with quarts, and we're going all the way down to ounces. So we're going from larger to smaller. So horse to fly, multiply. So I need to multiply, but now I have to figure out multiply by what. So I have to ask myself how many are in 1. How many ounces are in 1 quart? And to do that, I just need to multiply all the conversions between each unit. So between here and here is times 8, and between here and here is times 2, and between here and here is another times 2. So if I multiply these together, I'm going to get my conversion rate. 8 times 2 is 16, and 16 times 2 is 32. So my conversion rate is going to be 32. So then I just have to do my math. 21 times 32. And I get 672 for my answer. All right, let's do another one. On number 2, I'm going from pints to cups. So here's pints to here's cups. So I'm going larger to smaller, or horse to fly. I'm going to multiply. But multiply by what? How many are in one? So how many cups are in 1 pint? There are 2, so now my conversion rate is going to be 2. So I need to do 69 times 2. And I get 138. All right, let's do number 4, and we'll make this our last one. So from number 4, we're going from gallons to quarts. So gallons to quarts. So gallons to quarts. I'm larger to smaller, so horse to fly, I'm going to multiply. But I have to figure out multiply by what? Well, I have to ask myself how many are in 1. How many quarts are in 1 gallon? So I can see that to get from quarts to half gallons is times 2, and to get from half gallon to another gallon is times 2 again. So if I multiply those together, I have my conversion rate. So my conversion rate is going to be 4. So I need to do 17 times 4. And I get 68 for my answer. Sometimes you're going to be doing problems and you're not going to have these pictures or models to help you. So there is a sentence that you can use to help you remember. And it goes, gorillas have quite pretty clothing options. And if you can remember that sentence, you could even just write the letters, gorillas have quite pretty clothing options. And each letter can remind you of one of the units, gallons, half gallons, quarts, pints, cups, and ounces. And then you just have to remember that between every one is a 2. It takes 2 to get from here, 2 to get to there, 2 to get to there, 2 to get to there. Between every unit of measurement, it's getting 2 times bigger, except for the very last one. That's 8. And if you can remember the sentence, it can help you to know the order of the units of measurement. So you try some now on your own, and if you need help, you can come back and rewatch the video. Good luck!